These mushrooms growing in here. Seeing a lot of these. What you want to do is see that ring around the stem, and the underneath is like a light brown tannish. These, they'll get bigger, they'll get flat. These are called Galerina marginatas, deadly Galerina, funeral bells, very deadly. So don't mistake those for anything such as brick caps or anything like that. Always check the stipe to see if there's a ring around it. Here's some good mushrooms, which unfortunately I am too late for. These are Coprinellus micaceus, or the mica cap. Now these are edible when young. You want them before you see any black under there. These are too old. They're not going to taste any good. They're going to be bitter. These will actually turn all black and melt, which is why they're commonly called ink caps. And in olden times, you could, not all the time, but they would make ink out of these, hence the name ink cap. There's some old ones there you can see. It's called deliquesce when they melt and turn black. And despite popular belief, Coprinellus micaceus do not contain coprine. Coprine is a substance that if you consume alcohol within 48 hours, you can get extremely sick. These do not contain coprine. Here's some good examples of some prime mica caps, Coprinellus micaceus. If you look at it, the gills are still white, hasn't started to deliquesce yet. So these would be pretty choice to collect. Quick tip on mushroom hunting. Mushroom hunters are always using a mesh bag. First of all, plastic bags will pretty much turn your mushrooms into mush. Using a mesh bag, you throw the mushrooms in there and you will drop spores as you go along and help spread the growth of more mushrooms. If you are storing them in a refrigerator or something, use a paper bag, wet a paper towel, put it in the bag and stick it in the refrigerator, and it'll last. They don't last too long, a couple days. People like to use baskets to collect mushrooms. I am way too clumsy to be walking through the woods with a basket. That's why I opt for mesh bag that zipper shut so I don't lose my mushrooms. This is lesser celandine, part of the buttercup family. It could be poisonous if you eat it raw or livestock eat it. Say you can cook it and eat it. Violets, very good floral addition for salads. You can eat it raw. If you cook them, they kind of just shrivel up into nothing, but just put them raw on top of a salad or in a iced tea or something like that. Violets actually have a defense mechanism. For some reason, people don't want these in their yard. I have no idea why. They're beneficial, they're pretty, but they'll spray them, they'll yank them. The defense mechanism is underneath the ground, they have a reserve seed pod. So when they are threatened, you pull them, spray them, whatever you try to kill them, the underground seed pods will release and just spread more. So you might as well just leave them in your yard. May apples. They'll get a flower underneath, which will turn into an apple. All of this plant is toxic, including the apple, unless the apple is yellow. Finding May apples doesn't mean there's morels close by. They just correlate with the time, temperature, and soil conditions. So just because you see May apples doesn't mean there's morels around it. It just means it's a good time to start looking for morels. If you're out in the woods early spring, looking for morels and stuff, and you like pheasant back mushrooms, Cereoporus squamosus, keep an eye out for these. This is a box elder maple. The leaves look like poison ivy almost. That's how you know box elder maple. And pheasant backs love these. So keep it in mind, and you can come back and harvest some pheasant backs. Here is a toxic plant. Don't eat these, but they are pretty. Star of Bethlehem. You'll come across these in the woods a lot. These are pretty cool. And unfortunately, you come across dirt bikers in the woods a lot when you're trying to make videos. But these are toxic. Do not eat those. I know I said never eat anything that's a true lily, but there's always an exception to the rule. And this is one of them. This is trout lily. It's called trout lily because the leaves look like a trout. And all of this is edible. Harvest the flowers responsibly though. It takes 7 years to grow a flower, as you see most of these don't. And if you're able to, there's a root in this one, so I'm not sure if I can get in there. But if you're able to get down, there's a bulb underneath, almost like an onion bulb, that you can pick out and chew on and eat. And it's almost like a sugary little candy for a trail snack. There's a tree root here. I'm not gonna be able to get it out, but nope, didn't get it. But you can eat this whole thing. It's very sweet and sugary tasting. Awesome trail snacks. This is stinging nettle. If you've ever touched stinging nettle, it feels like a million yellow jackets stinging you all at once. It is part of the mint family. If you do get stung, do not scratch it, don't touch it. What you do is find you jewelweed, which I'll try to find. There's usually jewelweed growing around stinging nettle. And you just break open the stem, rub it on, and it'll go away within a couple minutes. Stinging nettle is actually very beneficial. You can, once you cook it, it stops stinging, or once you dry it, it'll stop stinging. You can make tea. It's a very good antihistamine. And the smaller ones, you can find a smaller one here and just grab it from underneath. Use the leaves to pick it, and you'll be totally fine. It's very good. I wouldn't recommend eating it raw. I would cook it first, but makes very good tea, very good salad.